friends, welcome to week 1 of Words to Live By. This month we are doing the Sunshine the Best Medicine block. If you see in the images that it doesn't look exactly the same as yours does, that's because I'm still in the process of putting it together. So when I put together a kit, I draw up all the patterns and all the placement guides, and then as I stitch it, if I find out that that's not where I wanted it to be, then I move it. So sometimes what you see may not be exactly like yours, but hopefully it will work best. Okay, so I have ironed on my wools, and they are ready to be cut out. Let me set those aside. And I have my background and my placement guide, and then I have the cotton pieces, and those are the things that I want to talk about this week. The first one is the placement guides. Okay, in order to mark through this, you kind of need some holes. And so, well, I think the easiest way to do it is with holes. So let's get I'm going to do that, make the holes first, and then I will mark through them. You could also cut this one off right here. In fact, I think I will do that. I already know that my paper's 8.5 wide, and sometimes the printer can print to the edge and sometimes not. So you might have to use your imagination for that last 1/4 of an inch. But I'm going to cut this one down. I might not have this corner right because it's not clear. And I'm using scissors, not a paper cutter. But that will help us. Okay. Now, the places that I want to mark. I want to mark where these go, and I want to mark around my big circle for now. So I'm going to mark, those thin stripes are the ones that are the cotton stripes. So I'm going to go ahead and mark where those go. And I'm also marking this on the big circle out here. And I'm especially marking anywhere that's going to be white. I'm going to cover this one, so marking it right now may not, well, we'll just mark it everywhere, all the way along, about every 3/8 of an inch. All the way around that circle, because I will mark where to put that circle down when I get the stripes in place. And it will help me to know, to make sure I do get my rays or radiating stripes where they need to be. Okay, so 3/8 of an inch-ish all the way around the circle. I've poked holes. And then I'm also going to poke holes along the lines where these rays go. And more than what I marked. The more you mark, the easier it is to get it in the right spot. Okay, this edge, outside edge of the wool will be important. Because you need to have it go to the outside edge of your background wool, but the inside and how far it goes under the circle, if it goes a little further under the circle, that's not a problem. So I don't need to mark those spots. So you can try and do this in one step by just using your marking tool on the paper over top of your background wool, but I found that the white Choco pencil, or the Soline pencil, it will make holes as you mark without breaking your lead too much usually if you're doing it on a surface like this. But since the color of wool that we are using is white, we're going to mark it with the blue pen, and the blue pen is not as sharp and won't make the holes as easily, so it works better. I just have a fat needle here. It's a size 18, I believe. I was working with some flat braid with it. Let's see if we got everybody marked all the way along our stripes. Yes, we have. Okay, now I'm going to take my background wool and I'm going to put it down, but I'm going to put it on the surface itself. So let's see, that I want to be the front. This is the one I want to be the front side right here. And my project should fit on it. If not, center it. And now we're going to pull out our blue marking pen. Okay, on my blue marking pen, I'm going to go ahead and mark the circle first. All the way around. Let's mark that circle. Notice that I'm still doing the spinning thing, because whenever you're marking dots, twisting your tool will give you the best mark. we should check and make sure, yeah, we're getting good marks. Okay. All right, now since these guys are supposed to be straight lines, I poked holes in a million places. You don't need to poke holes in a million places. We can mark them that it's supposed to be along this line, and I can mark, whoops, that's not really on the line. There we go, on the line, and then out here, okay, that's one. There's a spot, and I'll come back with a ruler and mark these better. Okay, there's the inside one, somewhere in the middle, and an outside one. Outside one, somewhere in the middle, and an inside one. Inside, middle, outside, inside, middle, outside, inside, middle. The good news is this isn't like at someone's face, and if you get it off by a smidgen, it will make them look deformed. It won't. They're just radiating rays. An outside, inside, middle. It's not very middle. It doesn't matter. 2 dots make a line. I just have the extra one in there so that for sure we get our dots or lines about where we want them. And the last one. And outside. Okay, now I'm going to take this off. Now hang on to it because we'll come back and mark more later. But that will give us an idea of where these lines go. Now we need, not my favorite ruler, but it will work. So I'm going to go ahead and mark these where these lines are. With a line each time. Okay, so you can go ahead and mark those all the way around. I might have to change pencils. I'm going to have to start throwing away my bad pencils. Okay, so mark all of your lines like that because that will help us get things placed correctly. Okay, let's go on to how to do the cotton. This one is needle turn, and if needle turn is in your wheelhouse, just go ahead and needle turn them. Needle turn is not in my wheelhouse, so I want to show you what I would do. There's 2 different ways to do this. So option number 1 is needle turning. So I have cut, well, I cut all of my pieces. I think I cut all of them apart. 1, 2, well, I should have 5. Oh, these are the extras. That's right, I do. I have all 5 of them, but I'm going to show you with just the smallest one. There's extra space on the freezer paper. So the first thing I would do if I were going to needle turn them, this one has a special exception, so there's a second choice, is iron these 3 pages of freezer paper. You'll notice that they're sticking to my mat. Don't stick them to something important. But they are just freezer paper, so they will peel off. All right, we're going to give those just a second to cool. Okay, there we go. Peel them off and then cut exactly on the line. Okay, and then I would iron that. Now it's still, the back side of that third one is still sticky. Now I'm going to try and shoot for these lines going straight out, but the shape itself doesn't go straight out. So I'm going to try and center those lines in between. I mean, it's a trapezoid. So I'm going to try and center those, and I'm going to iron it on the back side. So I'm going to lay that down and kind of hope that I can tell where the line is. I need 1/4 of an inch around the outside of each one. Now, I don't know if you can see this in my video, but I can see on top of this dark surface where it's lined up. So there we go. I'm shooting for about like that, and then we'll go ahead and iron it down. Okay, let's give that one just a minute to cool. We can put our clapper on it. Okay, now I'm going to cut it about 1/4 of an inch around the outside. Now, you have enough fabric to cut each of these 1/4 of an inch around the outside, but you don't have a ton extra. If you're sticking with the plan of keeping the lines going straight out, you'll notice that I'm using the selvage on this one because this part goes on the back and isn't going to show anyway. Okay, and I'll trim it to 1/4 here. Now, remember that when we put this one on, The top edge is going to go off of the edge of our block and it will be sewn in the seam. So I don't need to worry about folding that one over. And the inside edge will be underneath the center of the sun. So I don't need to worry about folding that one over. But I'm going to take my fabric folding pen. My fabric folding pen has Flatter. Flatter is a non-starch product that helps you, helps things that are ironed stay where they're supposed to. So let's use the iron and just fold it over. Sometimes I put little silicone fingers on when I'm doing this part, but we'll fold over that edge and iron it well. And I'm going to go ahead and put my clapper on that side so I can do this side. Again, what this pen does is allows you to put the flatter in exactly the place you want it. I don't want to just spritz it on because I don't want to mess up my paper template here. But that allows me to put it exactly where I want it. All right, let's put it on both of them now and let it set. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Now I'm going to turn it over. Iron it again on this side. My flatter is Pineapple Grove, I think, and it smells yummy this morning. Okay, I'm going to leave it under the clapper for a minute. So now what I would have, make sure you let it cool fully so that it can, so that it'll work. All right, let's see. That's the top. And I do not know, because I did not label, which one this is. It looks like it's this one right here. Yes, it is. So then take off your, once it's cooled thoroughly, take out your, there we go, just like that. You take out your cardstock, your freezer paper that's 3 thicknesses thick. The 3 thicknesses will help you get it laid right. And then you can just pin this in place and go ahead and do invisible little stitches here, similar to a whip stitch, but not quite. And that would get that in the right place. Okay, this is not how I'm going to do my needle turning because this project has just special circumstances that will make it easier to do it slightly differently. So I will take all of the pieces, this is that same piece from that one, and I will fussy cut them. I've ironed them on the front, and I will fussy cut them. Make sure that you iron them so that the lines are going out. And in order to do that, let me show you these guys right here. I figure out where I want the bottom, and that one I'm, I'm from this dot to this dot, and then I spread the top out so that I go a little bit further this way and a little bit further this way. Let's see if I can find another example that works. Okay, on this one, I centered those 3 lines. So up here, I've centered those 3 lines so that I'm kind of the same distance out from the line. So I've got all of them on and ready to go. Now let me show you what's next. Let's move this out of the way. We get just to make it line up easier. So I don't have to mess with whether it's cut at 1/4 inch or not. I'm going to go ahead and put a blue line down. Now the side that I'm concerned about is just this side over here. Okay, so I'll put a line down that one. And then I'm going to take this upstairs to my sewing machine. And I'm going to line up that blue line that I just drew on with the blue lines that I have right here backwards, okay, off to this side, and I'm going to sew down that line, and then I'll be able to flip it back like this, and that side will have already been cheating, but that side will have been sewn with my sewing machine. So I'll go work on that one, and then I'll come back and show you in the video how I iron it over and where I choose to stitch the next line. Okay, so I lined up the lines that I drew on the front side where I fussy cut, and then I stitched down, I lined up that line that was on the front with the line that I had drawn on my background. If I had cut it exactly 1/4 inch and could have lined it up 1/4 inch from my line, I'm sure there's ways that I could have figured out how to do it, but I just lined up the lines and then stitched right down the lines. Okay, remember, this is something that's unique to this project. So now I will take this, oh, I think I left my, my sewing machine is upstairs, and I think when I took this up, I took it up on my wool mat, but so we're just going to have to pretend. But I would iron this line, just fold it back and iron it. And that for me is faster because now this line, this has been stitched in place. It's faster for me than doing the whip stitch around the outside of this one. And remember, I am ignoring the inside as long as it goes inside that ring, and I'm ignoring the outside lengths. So the next thing is that because this next piece, oops, I moved the pieces. I think it's that one. Yeah, it is that one. Because this wool piece is going to lay over top of that edge right there, I went ahead and I did these. Let me zoom in. I went ahead and I did the others while I was at my sewing machine. So this edge is not finished. It's the raw edge, but it's going to be covered with the wool, so I'm not worried about it. I went ahead and just stitched about an eighth of an inch from the edge. When I cut it I didn't cut very carefully, as you probably saw. I cut approximately 1/4 of an inch, but I wasn't worried about it because I knew I had those lines drawn on, and I knew that this, the next layer of wool, when I put that one in place, will cover up that, that raw edge. I did want it stitched down. You could say, well, why do you even have to stitch it? Because you're going to be appliquing this in place, but I don't want this side, I don't want to stress about whether this side goes all the way through to the wool on the back. If it only catches the cotton, that's okay, because I know that the cotton is stitched down. So that is how I would do this particular cotton applique or this particular needle turn. I don't know if I got a bad spot on my wool there or if I just got it dirty, but it feels like it's got a black thread woven into it. Okay, so next step, as you can see, I did all 5 of the spokes like that. So next step would be to cut out the wool and get it in place. And again, that's why I marked those lines. You could, if you haven't marked the lines, you can lay your vellum over top so you can figure out where it goes. Get all those in place and get them stitched down, and then it will be time to come back and put your centerpiece on. The centerpiece, I have mine cut out. Here we go. And then I went ahead, I was using this as okay, ignore that for a minute. So get all of your pieces on and go ahead and get them all in place. And then we'll come back with week 2 when we're ready to start the stitches.